let's start to get into our part 2 session here and talk about using the HTML link element in your headers, all right? So Google uses something called a rel alternate along with an href language equals or hreflang equals X or something to help identify the correct language or a locale relationship between pages. So you might say something like rel equals alternate hreflang equals French Canadian FRCA. And then this is the URL where the French Canadian version of the page would be found. Here is the alternate referencing language for English Canadian, and you'd find it under EN, assuming this is a Canadian website for argument's sake. So you can specify the French version and the English version at these different pages. So same page of content, but you're telling Google that here's the page of content in French for Canadians. Here's the same page of content in English for Canadians. Now, this rel alternate href language is a signal to Google. It's not a directive. It doesn't like make them change things. And with all of Google's signals used to rank pages, there are the signals that can override this one. So you need to be careful about how you're doing this, all right? And we'll get into the basics of how to do it right. And again, like I mentioned, some best practices. But by using this rel alternate href language tag, you signal to Google how you've expanded your website to new languages and or country-based language variations. That's what we're going to talk about today. So here's a sample that you might find in a head area of a page of content on a website. In this case here, we're just going to assume that we're on the English for Great Britain, right, for UK. It is EN-GB, and this is the page that you can go to get the Great British English version of the page. But the equivalent, the alternate page that's for English US would be at this URL. And the alternate that's just in English for anybody else that speaks English, but not in Great Britain or the US, would be this page here, right? Just EN.example. Here's one for Dutch, German. Here you've got deexample.com, and here is the X default, which we'll talk about a bit later on. This is basically if nothing has been specified or none of it matches up, right? If it's not any of these four, then just deliver people to the specific page. In this case here, just the home page, right? So let's talk a bit more about this in detail, right? So the use of this rel alternate href language equals some variable, it helps the engines understand the relationship between the pages on your website in order for them to more accurately crawl and index your pages, and for that matter, to deliver the right pages, right? By using these correctly, Google can properly serve searchers a better targeted URL that's in their results. It also creates a better and more tailored user experience on your website. So somebody coming in that speaks Spanish winds up on a Spanish-speaking page. Somebody that comes in speaking French winds up on the French-speaking page. Or maybe you have a service like you do, you're a personal injury lawyer. So you can have a personal injury lawyer page. Let's say it's car accidents, right? You have a car accident page in English, a car accidents page in Spanish, car accidents page in French. And with each of those pages, you can deliver the person to the page that's going to be best suited for them based upon their language and or their country.